Well, welcome, Kim Wilde, and thank you for coming to us.
It's a real pleasure. Lovely
Thank
to
you.
be here.
Thank you very much. Well, let's go straight into the album. Who came up with the idea to do a cover version album with 80s and 90s hits?
Well, it came about largely because of the album that I did previously, the Come Out and Play album. And I did a Come Out and Play live tour throughout Germany. And my record company came to quite a lot of that tour and noticed that I was throwing in a few songs that I loved that weren't Kim Wilde songs. Songs by Erasure and by Tasman Archer, and they really loved them. And so we had a meeting backstage one night, I think it was in Hamburg, and they said, "Hey Kim, how about doing this?" Well, no, it wasn't so long ago we did my last album, so I was kind of surprised. But I was really up for the idea, of course.
Okay, and then why the 80s and the 90s? Why?
Pardon?
Why the 80s and the 90s? Could have been also new songs.
Well, the album actually spans 5 decades. So the earliest song is from '64, and the latest song I think is from the beginning of the noughties. So yeah, I wanted to choose pop music that I've loved throughout all the years I remember listening to it, really. As a 4-year-old listening to Cilla Black, Anyone Who Had a Heart, to more recently grooving in the car to the Sugar Babes. So it's really a tribute to pop music. It's played a huge part in my life. I still really love pop music, and I always did, and I always will.
Okay, then why hits? I mean, you could have said, well, let's choose, the not so very well-known songs of these bands, like B-sides or album tracks, or maybe even unreleased material.
Yeah.
But you picked the hits.
Yeah, I mean, I love hit records. I've made a few, but I love hit records. I love the charts. I love listening to the radio. I love what's popular, and as well as B-sides and lesser-known tracks, and those tracks I love too. But I wanted to make a real pop album, a real tribute to the magic of pop music and how accessible it is, and the way that it's unites all kinds of different listeners and people. And it's a very powerful phenomenon, pop. It's 3 little letters that actually have a massive impact on culture and each of us individually.
Mm-hmm. How did you do the selection of the songs? I mean, what was the criteria to pick this song and not this song? What was...
A lot of it was just instinct. Some of it was history. I mean, the first song I ever remember listening to was Anyone Who Had a Heart by Cilla Black in 1964. That kind of shows itself in a way, because I was always going to choose the first song that hit me straight between the eyes. Others are songs that I just loved over the years. Enjoyed, driving to in the car, singing along to. A few suggestions came from very close friends and from my brother, and songs that I thought I liked a lot, but didn't think they would be good for me, and I tried them out, and they worked great. So,
but you need to have a personal relation to the song to sing it. Is it that?
In a way, yeah, you do. I mean, the thing is, everyone has their own personal relationship with the song, and the relationship I have with a song like, for instance, Kids in America, is very different to the one that you'll have, or a million other listeners out there. So that's a great thing about pop music, is everyone can take it and make it their own story. There might just be 1 or 2 words in a song that means the world to you, and you can't really figure out why that song speaks to you. That's the magic of pop music, and it's what I've tried to capture on this new album.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now let's talk about some songs. Let's go into the songs.
Yeah.
Early 90s in England, there was this so-called fight between Blur and Oasis.
Yeah.
On which side have you been?
No, I never played those games. I left that to the media.
Okay.
Kind of sold their newspapers, so I let them get on with it. I mean, I just thought their music was just fantastic. And I mean, I wasn't doing too much myself at the time. I was doing a little bit of music, but mostly I was sort of backing out of the music industry psychologically. But I was still really enjoying the Britpop explosion, and that's why I chose a Suede song.
Okay, but it's also been the early 90s have also been the era of the boy bands.
Yeah.
Take That, New Kids on the Block. But you picked East 17. Why that?
Well, I just thought they were so cool. I've always been a bit of a sucker for a guy with tattoos, and they looked like they had more tattoos than Take That. So, but I just loved that song. I just thought it was a great song and a great pop anthem, and made me feel happy. And when I suggested it to Ricky, my brother Ricky, yeah, we recorded it together. And we had such fun. We really did.
Okay. Of course, we have to talk about Cure.
Yeah.
In Between Days. Why this track?
Well, you know, one of my very, very closest friends has always loved this song, and he said to me, "Why don't you try it?" Now, I've always loved The Cure. I thought they were great back in my art college days. You know, I had a slight crush, I suppose, on Robert Smith. Not sure quite if that was appropriate or not, but he always used to wear his lipstick a lot better than I did, and but I thought their records were very, very cool. British music at that time, so cool. Just post-punk and new wave. It was very exciting, and it really had a huge influence on the records that I started making with Ricky shortly after. But yeah, so my mate said, "How about have a go?" And we did, and it's one of my favourites at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does Robert Smith know that you cover his song? Does the Cure know?
I'm not sure any of the artists know that I've covered their songs at this point. You know, the album's only just out in a few days' time, so it hasn't really hit. It hasn't hit the social networks and the internet and all that kind of stuff yet, perhaps. Okay. So maybe I'll get some reaction in the coming months.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
I'll just take a deep breath and...
That's what I wanted to ask. Do you already have reactions of the composers of the songs, but you don't have it yet?
No, it'd be interesting to see if I get any.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you will. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about another song. No, let's talk about the artist, Diana Ross.
Yeah.
Why Diana Ross?
Well, I grew up in the 60s and my parents bought a lot of the Motown. They imported, actually, a lot of the Motown albums. And we had them in the house, and I always used to listen to Smokey Robinson, and Diana Ross was my favourite, and the Supremes, of course. And of course, I went on to do a cover version of "You Keep Me Hanging On," but I always have a soft spot for Diana's voice in particular.
Okay.
So yeah, "Remember Me" is just a fantastic song, and it's always great to sing a Diana Ross song. You know, she had a great knack of picking some fantastic songs to do.
Last song we have to talk about, Black Wonderful Life, because you know why I ask you about these songs, because these are also the songs that we're gonna play on the radio station.
Great,
you know,
yeah.
the original ones.
Yeah.
So it would be very nice to have a comment of you. Why did you pick Black Wonderful Life?
Well, Wonderful Life happened sort of in the middle, just in the middle of the 80s, and it was shortly after I'd had a #1 in America with "You Keep Me Hanging On," and there was a lot of fantastic pop music in the charts at the time. You know, Madonna was having it all, and Michael Jackson, and it was a great time for pop music. And somewhere sort of in between all of this, you know, high-powered, in-your-face pop music, this very subtle song just emerged, and everyone fell in love with it, and including me. It's such a beautiful melody, and it was a real privilege to sing it myself.
Do you know what he's doing today, Black?
I don't know what they're doing. I should think they're probably touring around like me and doing some gigs here and there.
Did you meet some of these guys that you cover? Did you ever meet them in your life, in your career? Backstage, or I don't know, on a festival? All these musicians?
Well, I met Kirsty MacColl, of course. She was a great mate of mine back in the 80s. And so, but I'm not sure really that I've really bumped into many of the others.
Okay.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, cool. Let's talk about your father.
Yeah.
Marty Wilde.
Yeah.
I learned that he used to be in the 50s, rock and roll singer in Britain, still on tour.
Still on tour, yeah.
And he got some hits in the UK with doing cover versions. What does he say that his daughter is now doing cover versions too? A whole album?
Well, you know, I haven't seen him for a little bit, and I'm going to be taking so I've only just got the copy of my album last night. So I'm going to go back to England on Sunday, and I'm going to give him a copy and let him get his ears around it. I'll be fascinated to get some feedback from him.
He hasn't heard anything yet?
No, he hasn't heard anything yet, no.
No, that's not true. You want to tell me that I heard it first and your father did it?
You've heard it before in my family, yeah. Yeah, you have.
Strange situation.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for the interview. Very nice that you come here, and we wish you good luck. I know that you come back to Switzerland. You're going to play in Switzerland. Tomorrow you're going to play? Is that correct?
I'm doing a big TV tomorrow.
Exactly.
Correct, yeah.
And then you will come back to Switzerland, I think, in October. You're going to give a concert here.
I think I'm going to be doing a big tour in March.
Okay.
Yeah, so the tour for the Snapshots tour and Greatest Hits tour is in next March. I'll be back then.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we look forward to see you here back in Switzerland.
Yes, me too. Thank you.
Thank you.